Namaskar. Welcome to Loka and IS Academy's YouTube channel. So, in our Essay Essential series, this is our 6th lecture. This is the 3rd specific lecture concerning the body of an essay. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the timeline approach. I highly recommend you to watch our previous lecture on knowledge matrix and sectoral approach to make a lot more sense of what we are going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, let's get started. So first let us understand what is timeline approach. So timeline approach is, as the name suggests, an approach in which we focus on evolution of timeline. Evolution of a problem. So most of the problems or most of the themes that UPSC will tend to ask a question on, they are not very short-term problems. They are legacy issues. There are a lot more complexities involved in any sort of problem that comes. So we can talk about poverty, caste issues, developmental issues, environmental issues, maybe democracy. So these are the sort of technical issues that UPSC will try and ask you questions on. Maybe there's a philosophy. Okay, honesty is the best policy, or or something on those lines, where this is concerning values. Okay, so values themselves, they are not very recent values. Okay, so these values have been an integral part of human civilizations since the very beginning. Okay, so obviously whatever we are going to discuss, it is not going to be very recent. It is not going to be, let's say, a year or 2 years old. Maybe there will be an issue jiske basis pe UPSC will ask a question. Let's say we are facing a huge moral or judicial dilemma as well when it comes to Sabrimala issue. There's the hijab issue. So based on that, maybe UPSC will ask a question on women's issues. What are the gender issues? What are what is the state of women in India's in current, and what do you imagine women's position to be in future India, on those sorts. But these are very specific issues jiske aadhar pe they'll ask a bigger, wider essay. Okay, they won't ask you to write an essay on Sabrimala basically. So keeping that in mind, so timeline approach gives us an opportunity to show the evolution of a problem. Okay, if the problem has evolved, or maybe we can show the metamorphosis of a problem, ki how were things in the past and how they have changed today. Okay, so yahan pe there's a classic example of talking about educational system. So educational system was always present in the past, medieval India, ancient India, before that as well, then in modern times, then we can come to the current times. So that how education system has developed, let's say in ancient, medieval, modern. So if we can use the facets or the information that we have learned in GS and integrate it in our essay. कि ancient India में क्या status था? Let's say maybe we'll talk about Gurukul system. Medieval India में क्या था? ठीक है, so rise of saints वगैरह वो वाला जो part आता है. So that is also somewhere associated with educational system only. So this is how you can show the changes that the educational system has, or the problems that it faced in let's say ancient India, medieval India, and modern India, and this way you can structure your entire essay. Okay, so if you understand this properly, so if let's say there's a essay on what you can call as educational system or something, that entire essay can be written in this format. Okay, where you will talk about how educational system has grown, cut to the present times. Okay, so वहाँ पे what exactly are the legacy issues and how it has changed or how it has impacted. Okay, so based on that, so this can be an entire framework in itself, or there's one more way to use it, that is to use it as a subsection. How do you use it as a subsection? So you will use timeline approach to elaborate on any specific aspect of the essay. Okay. Now we are going to talk about, in the coming lectures, we'll talk about different ways to basically different parts of bodies when it comes to essay, not human body parts. So basically so वहाँ पे maybe in one of the subsections you can apply this timeline approach. When it comes I'll explain you in a lot more detail, but then again, so this timeline approach can either be your entire essay or it can be a part of it, a smaller section of it. What are the key advantages when it comes to timeline approach? One is that because we are very specifically focused on one aspect. So knowledge matrix mein we saw ki how we explored multiple dimensions of it. So in timeline we are very specifically focused on one sector and its evolution. So because time is an underlying connection, you need not worry about your flow. Flow is automatically taken care of. Flow is automatic because time is an underlying factor that's connecting everything. So if you even practice one of the essays, you will try and understand that there is a logical consistency in whatever you write. Your thought will be consistent because we are trying to show how a problem evolved over a period of time. So that is its biggest advantage. You do not have to take any additional care in order to make sure there's flow or there is an orderly arrangement when it comes to whatever you are writing in body. That is its biggest advantage. There's one more advantage, the obvious one. It is that it makes your arguments or it makes your essay very interesting. This is a sort of different way to put your thoughts through. So this sort of approach can be specifically used, let's say if we talk about globalization. So a lot of you might think that globalization had no consequences in ancient India. Globalization is relatively modern. So this is where the timeline approach is flexible. Maybe we'll talk about ancient, medieval if we have that opportunity, or if not, we'll specifically focus on its evolution. Timeline is about evolution. So globalization started as a powerful phenomenon since 1980s, but it is not the same today. The globalization of 1980s and globalization of today has a lot of different facets. So maybe we'll try and explore that. What was the pace of globalization and that sort of way. Then maybe we can write about international relations, technology. So these are various essays that we can write using the timeline approach. Okay, so that is it about timeline approach, guys.